basket of a stock portfolio, and that's not me. That's not how I operate, right? I'll work till I'm 98. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn. And this is, you know, a price that I'm willing to pay. But I've decided, after purchasing my first Tesla and purchasing my first share of Tesla in 2020, that this is going to be my Apple. This is going to be my Amazon, my AMD, you know, or pick your company that, you know, NVIDIA, right? You know, if you had significant amount of shares in NVIDIA around 2020, 2021, you know what I mean? It could make you. In my personal opinion, I feel Tesla and this software and their ability to make EVs better than anybody on the planet is going to make them a multi-trillion-dollar company, and they're just sitting at $1.5 trillion at the moment. Elon Musk's potential pay package that I voted for happily, and if he can get the market value of this company to $7.5 trillion by 2035, ladies and gentlemen, we're, you know, retirement, you know, I'm gonna continue to do the things that I do, but not worrying about, you know, being taken care of in the later stages of life. You know, it does feel good. Even though I'm willing to work till I'm 98, I am basically throwing my hat in the ring on red Tesla 00, when a lot of people wouldn't. And I'm comfortable with that because I'm me. Do what's best for you is basically what I'm saying. What you feel comfortable with. After going to YouTube, you learning about options and, you know, stock charts and things of that nature, right? And all of that stuff is like astrology. You take it for what it's worth. Is there some grains of truth hidden in the history of the markets? Of course there are, right? There's patterns, there's algorithms that happen, triggers when news articles hit, and all kinds of stuff. There's a buying and selling of various different entities, and Tesla's going to be impacted positively or negatively in any given situation. There's just no rhyme or reason to it, and to do what I'm doing is not without risk, is what I'm trying to convey. So even though it's not without risk, I'm still willing to do it. I mean, I'm a gambler. Like, if I wasn't going to the poker table, instead of dropping that money at the poker table, I instead dropped it in my brokerage account. So my point, long story short, is that if you think you can't afford a Tesla, if you think you can't maybe manage a brokerage because, you know, it's foreign to you, you have the information of the world at your fingertips. You can be selective, you can be discerning with the information presented to you. You don't need an Ivy League education, because now Ivy League educations can be brought online. So there's plenty of people that have gone to those schools, started YouTube channels, and I'm not saying everything they say is gold, but it is information. Whether you want to acknowledge it as fact or fiction or good information, bad information, that's for you to decide. But with that information, you can better inform your own opinions and better inform your own next move, right? And that's what I did. And a buddy of mine would say that I got pretty lucky, but I experienced Tesla going to the moon, cratering, and still holding strong. People say I got lucky, but it doesn't feel like it. It's not like it's gone up forever. No, you got to have conviction. And that same buddy would call when Tesla would have down 7% days plus, and he'd be like, how's your portfolio? Trying to convince me to diversify. And I'd be like, I made some money off the premium. My underlying stock is, you know, obviously not as good as it was, right? I have a dollar cost average of about 193, 197 or something like that. It changes depending on when I decide to buy stock at these levels, right? But yeah, you know, and throughout the time you know, Tesla was above 200 or below 200, and you know, he was just constantly trying to get me to diversify, right? He cares for me. It's not like it comes from a place of malice or anything, but I'm gonna continue to do me, right? What makes sense. And I listen to him wholeheartedly, like, because again, information that you ingest can either be good or bad. You know, it's for you to discern. And you know what his logic conveys to me is, it does make sense. It's just not for me. So with that being said, we've crossed over into the land of, you know, make your own decisions. You know, I'm a big fan of Bruce Arians with the no risk it, no biscuit. You know, you gotta put some skin in the game if you plan to reap the rewards, and that's exactly what I was willing to do with my surplus cash that I would have, you know, tried to dominate somebody mentally on the poker table. So instead of that, I chose to go the insurance route with premiums, and you know, it's been fruitful. And long calls, if Tesla should ever drop below $1 trillion market cap, I'm gonna place a long call that expires sometime in 2027, 2028, and not blink an eyelash about it. The only real problem now is that these premiums for stock options, which if you're selling covered calls is good, but if you're trying to place calls, it's never been more expensive to place calls on Tesla right now. So you have to really believe in where Tesla is going to be, say in 2027, 2028, because there is no knowing. You just have to kind of feel it. And that's what I did when Tesla was down in the 100s. It's like, man, if it's not higher in a couple of years, I deserve to lose this 5K, 6K, whatever it was. But yeah, it's turned out pretty good, and I feel great about that. I will probably end up purchasing 100 shares of Tesla at $150 a pop. And you know, adding that to my grand total, which is, you know, higher than than I ever thought. You know, like the splits helped, but I got a monthly, you know, my superfluous cash, half of it goes to the brokerage account and half of it goes directly to Tesla. Like I got a G that, you know, 500 will go into the brokerage account and another 500 will just buy TSLA outright. And I've been doing that since 2020. And I don't care what Tesla's stock price is, I'm just going to continue to buy. And that stuff adds up. And then there's moments where I have more than my monthly allowance. You know, sometimes these options calls, they hit for 400%, save a little bit for taxes, and I use it to, when Tesla has a 4% down day, guess what? I'm buying 3 or 4 shares of Tesla with those proceeds. It's a process, and you have to kind of just trust it and try to leave emotion at the door. And it's really hard when you're sitting in a vehicle that's doing all the driving and driving better than you ever could dream, right? The safety that has enveloped me, I think every person that commutes is gonna want this feeling of, you know, no stress and stop and go traffic, no fear that your vehicle is going to hit anything. It doesn't mean that some other vehicle couldn't hit me, right? That is a high possibility as well, right? You know, just being on the road, you have a percentage of being in an accident, whether it's autonomous or not. But I have a lot of confidence that this vehicle won't be the cause of an accident, which gives me great relief. But yeah, and every time I have an interventionless drive, or even a minor intervention that I know Tesla's going to shore up over time, I just think about how much energy I have saved, how safe I am, and it makes me want to buy more Tesla shares. Like, I want to pull the trigger on as many Tesla shares as I can. The goal is to try to have 1,000 by 2030, but if Tesla keeps climbing, that goal gets harder and harder to achieve. All right, I've talked enough about that, but that's what the channel used to be about. I used to battle FUD with the news. The news wants to paint Tesla in a pretty negative light. We're gonna go ahead and get that on, the back of my phone feeling pretty hot. We'll get that off of there. We're about 13 minutes away. That's pretty awesome. We're almost done. Let's see if we can keep at it real quick. 4 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and give a destination here. We're gonna make it flexible. We're gonna go to destination mode. Anyway, we're back in destination mode. We need to get back to Chewbacca. I want to watch this game, but now that I've kind of gotten that out of the way, history, I keep all my videos up, good, bad, or otherwise. Those are my thoughts, those are my opinions, whether they be right, wrong. But, I reserve the right to change my opinion, even on Tesla. If I believe the product is starting to wane, I won't hesitate to let my opinion be known, which can be unpopular or whatever. But as it stands right now, this is the best product I've ever owned. I don't plan to purchase another vehicle that doesn't have the Tesla logo on it. And if it comes from Tesla, it better be able to drive itself, or I won't purchase it anyway. It's kind of why I held off on the Cybertruck, because when I bought this car, it was with the sole purpose of being able to test FSD, because I believe it is the crux in which Tesla becomes a $1 trillion company, right? Optimus is the golden goose. But this software stack that is piloting this robot on 4 wheels will then be transferred to the robot that is on 2 legs. So this is the foundation that will, soar the best-selling product in 2020. No, the best-selling product in 2045 will be Optimus, in my personal opinion. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it's sooner, maybe it's later. But, looking around the technology world, there's no other vehicle on the road that does what Tesla does. Pretty soon there'll be no robots that are capable of doing what Optimus is doing autonomously, right? And robots are going to have various different functions, remote operators and things like that. But when you're talking about something that can be an agent for you in the physical world, much like this vehicle is, it's artificial intelligence in the real world, that will be Optimus, and it'll be 10 times greater than what this is. It'll be doing jobs that you just don't want to do, freeing you up for other things, for you to be more productive in other areas, right? I can't wait to have an Optimus or 2, all right? we gotta pace ourselves and see how feasible these things are, right? It doesn't feel tangible just yet. I mean, if you're not in a vehicle with your own personalized autonomy, how could you possibly see a world where every metro city in America has no driver, like your transportation is driverless? It would be tough to see. It wouldn't be tangible to you. But experiencing FSD, I know it's not far. And then they've got the Cybercabs, those beautiful gold cars that have no controls in them. Will I be able to purchase one of those? And then when you think about it, having your own personal chauffeur with that capability of being able to go do ride hail when you don't need the car and all these other things, the possibilities from the eyes of a hustler seem endless. Just want to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, it has me pretty excited. And as I sit here collecting money from Uber, and you know, an Uber driver is supposed to drive. Well, lo and behold, this Uber driver doesn't drive. And it begs the question, why anybody would drive Uber manually. Like, that doesn't feel like excited driving. You have to be very conscientious of your passenger. It's not like you're getting all the fun perks of driving in stop and go traffic during the hard drive at 5, right? You've got the risk of being in an awful accident. Why not eliminate the hard part for yourself and get a vehicle that drives itself? But that's just me, right? And I look out and I know there are plenty of Uber drivers here, and even the Uber drivers that are in Teslas, I'd say there's a fraction of those, JC being the majority of those Uber rides that are on FSD, right? And I'm sure there's some others across the nation, but you know, there's so many more that don't understand how easy their job could actually be once they learn the nuances of this artificial intelligence. So my car cost me about $37,000 minus taxes. We throw in a loan payment of somewhere in the 700s, I believe. You know, they just take the money. All right, I really don't care. As long as the money is in the bank account, they're gonna take it. I try to pay a little bit extra so I don't pay as much in interest, but that's just me, right? I'm trying to think long ball. So I want to pay a little bit extra every month, and then if I'm really going to take a win, like my call could easily pay for this car. But is that the best use of that money? I don't know. Is it? Then it would free up this $700 car payment monthly, or I could just keep paying that and then just dump that money back into Tesla by buying the 100 shares. These are the things you have to really weigh and understand, like what is best for you at that time. As it stands, I'll probably continue to pay this car payment and just buy those 100 shares outright and call it a day. But, you know, I reserve the right to do whatever I want. All right, we have gotten into delirium mode, especially when I start cursing into the camera. We are 7 minutes away from dropping off our package to Sell Fix. And so we got the cost of the vehicle. This is Uber. It really doesn't cost me anything to gas this up unless I'm at the supercharger. So let's just maybe I'll allot $100 for charging. If I were to do this full time, it definitely would be probably, because I would be at the supercharger more. Let's say $100 goes to fueling the vehicle a month. Tires. I had to replace a tire just recently. Cost me about $350. Tesla has this program where they do tire replacement where you can pay, I don't know, $12 a month. To me, I don't like that. I would rather just pay for the, unless I'm losing a tire every month. Like, if I go another 4 months without losing a tire, for me, I just feel like I'll just take it as it comes. So we got this 18-wheeler trying to make it to the highway. Our car kind of stayed behind it, didn't want to cause any issues. I'm okay with that, considering I'm not driving. The courtesy of this vehicle, it amazes me how nice it is to other drivers. So kudos to the AI team for not only making it a good driver, but a nice driver. All right, so we got the cost of the vehicle, we got maintenance, basically it's tires. So depending on if you want to go cheapo with the tires, you could probably do that, but I imagine you'd be replacing them. These vehicles aren't light, and if you're on FSD, you're probably wearing your tires out a lot less than you were if you were just flooring it at every red light. The only thing that really impacts the tires is if you roll, I had a nail go in horizontally in a weird way on my tire, destroyed it. And it's a fluke, right? It's something that happens once in a blue moon. You can pay for the insurance. I'm not saying do it or don't. It's just not, that's not something that I want to just be like, here's $12 just in case something happens. And then 2 years go by and I could have used that money for something else. So that's just me. Cost of the car, maintenance. We got fuel costs. Yeah, the keeping your car clean. I pay $120 a month for unlimited car washes at Black Hand Car Wash on Derry Ashford. I go there at least once a week, right? Even if the car is, you know, like they like, your car is always the cleanest car we have to clean. And I attribute that to my riders. My riders could be, like, I'm pretty sure that lady that was just in here was eating sunflower seeds. I could smell them. As long as, you know, I think there is a respect when your car, when they get in your car and it feels brand new. So that I think has something to do with it. I haven't had any real crazy dirty passengers. Even when it was raining, you know, it's a tool. I expect it to get somewhat dirty, so I'm a lot less picky. Like, if you're Ubering, you can't be protective of your car as much as, you know, like when I first got my vehicle in 2020, I was touching it with kid gloves. Now I'm a little less, I wouldn't say I'm abrasive with it, but I'm definitely not handling it like a newborn any longer. And I don't expect my passengers to either. So we got $120 for a month for whatchamacallit. And me as a part-time, what am I getting paid? I would say I get paid around $25, about $25 an hour. And if I was driving full-time, the more you drive, the more the logistics work for Uber. As my spidey sense is high, we're underneath this bridge, trying to get to the right as best we can, because this is a weird scenario that I can't wait to look back on. I think our AI student driver handled that better than I would, because even watching the navigation, that would have been confusing as hell for me. But instead of it being frustrating, I'm able to be like, yep, good job, car, and not have to have that extra anxiety. Boy, this is insane. $25 an hour, I'm probably doing 24 to 30 hours a month. That's not, you know, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this for the YouTube channel, which doesn't make a lot of money either, ladies and gentlemen, by all means. But it's the information I'm sharing, to me, is more valuable than the money that would end up in my brokerage account anyway. I'm grateful for any money, don't get me wrong. Money, your boy's a hustler, you know, Hustle Town Tesla, baby. So we're definitely gonna put that money to good use, whether it be from Uber, whether it be from YouTube, or any other source. But I truly believe where I'm going to make my comeuppance is the Tesla stock. And I think exposure to the technology, to the vehicle itself, Tesla will sell more cars. Tesla will be able to get to their mission faster, you know, sustainable abundance. I talk about the power walls, I talk about the solar panels, I talk about the future Teslas I'm going to buy, being the Cybertruck, maybe the Cybercabs, and I think about what this company plans to do in the future, and I look forward to it, and I feel excited. I am excited, and I think my passengers can kind of feel that as well. We're about a minute away. We actually put on our talking mouthpiece for about an hour, roughly. can't wait to get a rider back in here so I can continue to talk some more. Anyway, but yeah, I just love what Tesla has been able to achieve in the face of doubters, right? You know, the detractors would say that what we're doing right now is impossible. And lo and behold, here we are. We're doing it. We're knocking it out. And then they say the future doesn't look bright for Tesla, and I would be like, I highly disagree, sir. I highly disagree. As we're coming up on this U-turn, our AI student driver forgoes the navigation, which is kind of weird because I know this car behind us is probably a little pissed. They were flying and had to slow down as we conducted our U-turn. We are looking at self-fix as we speak, and we need to go ahead and park this thing. So we park. And that's that.